mbadde njagala Parliament etegeere Dr. Besigye nti yawambibwa okuva Kenya. Kigende mu bitabo record za Parliament nti mu mwaka guno 2024 mwezi gwa 11 waliwo Uganda ogende Kenya newambayo omukulembeze. Ekyokubiri, government tena kufulumya kiwandiiko kitongole yeebuzaabuza bwebuzaabuza olwaleero owulira kulayija ayogera enkyo owulira bali omu nsi. Twagala baveeyo n'ekiwandiiko ekitongole kuba bino ebintu ebinaakugwa. Tugenda kutwala gavumenti ya Kenya n'eya Uganda mu kooti zonna eza East Africa n'ez'ensi yonna. Ensonga ezibaddemu enkulu okusooka ensonga eyo gisa ku likodi ya Parliament. Ekyokubiri, gavumenti okujja mu butongole n'etubuulira eyitira mu nkola kyogende Kenya n'ewambayo abantu ne bakomyawo. Era ne Kenya nsabye Parliament ebuuze Kenya baba na Uganda bakyasobola ogende Kenya ne babeerayo mu mirembe. Kubanga bwe baba basobola okuwamba 36 ne bawamba Dr. Besigye, olumbanyene okubanga bawamba abantu ba bulijjo abalala ne tutamanya. Kakati ebintu ebyo bisatu byebibadde ebikulu olwaleero mu statement. Ekirungi Speaker agambye nti Minister wa Foreign Affairs, Minister wa Internal Affairs bonna bajje batunnyonnyola. Kayinde otafiire namulabye ayogera mawulire ng'agamba Minister wa Internal Affairs nti yabuuziza aba immigration mu Uganda ne Kenya namugamba nti balabangako Besigye na mmundu. Ebyo tubyagala ku likodi ya Parliament si kubyogerera eyo. Ayino bireetawo neggwanga yonna ne limanya kati gavumenti neetubuulira Besigye mundu yazijewa zaatalava nazo Ntebe zaatayingira nazo Kenya. Bagezaako okwekweka naye kino si kyangu kubanga omuntu oba babuuza nti yayingira atya mu Uganda nga mu passport ye tebatadde mu stamp, ekyo kiri mu kooti. Teeka kiri bayitamu okomyawo kwa Besigye tekuli mu kooti. Twagala batubuulire nti twagoberera teeka lino okusobola okukomyawo Besigye mu Uganda. Era batubuulire kubanga tuyina endagaano ne Kenya eyo extradition treaty. Bwe tulina omuntu gwe twetaaga Kenya nga ayina emisango tuyitira mu eyo nga balaba twayitira mu gyetuna Tanzania okomyawo Jamiru mukulu. Kati bye twagala batubuulire ebya kooti bikwatagana ne bwe banaagezaako okwekweka ensonga eno egenda kubabeerera nnene nga si nnyangu ya kwekweka. Parliament nga situnaagenda mu luwummula nagisaba wano gavumenti egyetunnyonnyole okusooka okutyobola eddembe ly'obuntu okugenze kweyongera. Ensonga gye nabawa ku olwo kwali kusibibwa kwaffe nze Honorable Kamara n'abalala nga tugenda ku embasa ya Kenya. Naye ne magamba bajje batunnyonnyole enkola kati erabiseewo ey'okutulugunya abantu n'omala n'obakaka bakkirize emisango gye bataakola Museveni asobola obbawa pardon. Kye mbadde nziramu olwaleero batubuulire minisita wa gavumenti yatandika ati ogenda mu makomera okutandika okuteeka abantu ku bunkenke batandika okukkiriza emisango gye batazza. Twavaawo ku mulundi guli nga gavumenti egambye egenda kuleeta ekiwandiiko katusubire ku lwokubiri abaana bazze n'ensonga bagenda kuginnyonnyola.
Nze ndowooza nti Speaker wa Parliament ekintu kino akivuvunze nnyo. Esookera ddala nti watandise okubeerawo obweraliikirivu eri bannayuganda naddala abagenda Kenya ne mawanga amalala nga Tanzania nti omuntu ajja kutuuka agende ali ku mirembe gye aveeyo ng'ate bamutaddeko omusango. Kubanga twakirabyeko ku Dr. Besigye nti engeri gye bamukutemu nti omuntu newabanga olina kyobadde omuvunaana waliwo amateeka agafuga entambuza y'ensonga eyo paka lwatuuka eno gy'omwagala abeere. Naye kati bw'oyanga omukutte bukwasi passport ozirese mu luumu ye kwegamba n'olabanga amateeka mangi agamenyeddwa. Tulowooza nti Uganda yalibadde efugibwa mu mateeka. Kye tusinga okubeera nga twagala kubanga bwe tutalwanirire kulaba nga Uganda ebeera mu nfuga y'amateeka buli muntu agenda kukosebwa n'abasuubuzi ojja kwesanga babayoledde gye banaabayolera nga bakomezaawo mu Uganda nti ate balina bye badde babbye mu mawanga ag'enjawulo. So ndowooza nti nno minisita statement eyo yalibadde agireeta na lunaku lwankya naye batugambye ajja gireeta lunaku lwakubiri. Ffe ku lwaffe tulowooza nti kikosezza nnyo ekifaananyi kyaffe ekya Uganda naddala mu mawanga g'ebweru. Of course statement yo katemala wabula alina okujja n'annyonnyola abantu baffe gye bali naddala abo abaabuzibwawo ate n'abamu ku abo abaana batanaba kubeera nga bata okuva mu makomera abaasibwa obwereere olw'ebyobufuzi. Kye tumwagalamu kyokka ekyo bw'anaaba akikoze ajja kuba atuyambye n'okuyamba eggwanga lyonna confidence ekomeye mu bannayuganda.
Ezimu ku nsonga ze tunokoddeyo olwaleero kuba gavumenti ebadde tugamba nti ensonga ez'abantu abaabuzibwawo ne ba political prisoners zaggwa dda. Bajjukiza ne mbagamba nedda teziggwa zitya kubanga twali wano gavumenti nga mulina okunoonyereza balamu olwamala okumulayizaawo n'akyamuukirira n'agamba mumpe lisiti dola namujjukiza ne mugaa kirabika gwe okyalimu okukyamuukirira tomanyi ngeri gye tutambula lisiti twagiwa prime minister twagiwa erimu library ya parliament byonna nine nga kale okujjawo olwekwaso kanzire mungi tabling waleme kubeerawo olwekwaso kati nga twagala ajatuwe accountability ajatuwe feedback bituuseewa ajatubuulire nti akye nakola kugenda mu kkomera kukakaabo abaana be basiba nti bannaye mukirize emisango gino kubanga wayisewo emyaka ena tewali bujulizi era tebuliyo tebujja kuleetebwa mukirize bukkiriza emisango gibake mu vi twagala ajja bitunnyonnyole byonna atunnyonnyole ne baana abaabuzibwawo wadde kiri ku baana abali mu kkomera bokka ne ba John Bosco Kibalama prime minister yatugamba nti awo oyo gavumenti yamukwata era mukwate twagala gavumenti etubuulire oba eyise mu balamu oba eyise mwani batunnyonnyole abantu abo abaabuzibwawo baliwa songa mbategeeza nti ensonga ezo tezinnagwa gavumenti eyagala nnyo tubyerabire kyobudola batusigala tubyogerako oba ku zi press conference eyo ne tutegeka okusaba bwe tukomawo mu paalamenti tujja sigala nga tubajjukiza kubanga baagala ensonga eyo tugiveeko tugyerabire titugenda kugivaako ensonga endala gye twogeddeko wano ku floor ya parliament ya engeri Dr. Kiza Besigye yakwatibwa ng'ali e Kenya kubanga twafuna obubaka nitutegeera nti gavumenti ya Kenya ng'eyita mu principal secretary wa foreign affairs mukulu bamuyita Kori Lusonge yagamba nti gavumenti ya Kenya teyabyetabaamu ebyokuwamba Dr. Kiza Besigye kati twagala gavumenti etunnyonnyole kyajja kitya baagenda mu Kenya era batya nga bayita mateeka ki okuwambayo Dr. Kiza Besigye n'abalabe baawamba ku luli lwekwaso gwe balina nti kakati Dr. Kiza Besigye yali ayina emmundu nzize nkyogera nenga nti kakati Dr. Kiza Besigye yayita ku airport ya wano n'agenda kyebagamba nti yayinye ennyonyi ng'ayina emmundu tebaamucekinga yabaffe kale katugaye bamusanze n'emmundu nokubadde bijingirire nze nkimanyi bijingirire naye bw'omusanga n'emmundu e Kenya bikukwatirako wago gavumenti ya Uganda mbadde mmanyi gavumenti ya Kenya erina okwemulugunya naye byonna ebyo nga twagala gavumenti eno ekitutegeeze eyita mu mateeka ki ogende Kenya okuwambayo bannansi kuba kati tuli mu East African Community bannayuganda bagende Kenya ku nsonga ez'enjawulo abamukola bizinesi abamu kusoma abamukola ki kati bannayuganda batandika okweraliikirira nti owa tujja gende Kenya batuwambeyo era nga tugamba ne gavumenti ya Kenya teyinza kukoma kugamba nti wayi tetubimanyiiko era tumanyi gavumenti ya Uganda aba security baayo bajja batya eno ne bawamba abantu toyinza kukoma ku ekyo kiba kitegeeza tuli in charge of eggwanga lyo ensonga ezo zonna tulinze report batunnyonnyole byajja bitya omanyi bwe twava wano ku nsonga ez'emmwanyi sipiika yatusindika mu recess oza n'alowooza kati bw'onaayitawo akaseera bwe tunaakomerawo nga tubyerabidde nga tuzze ku birala mbadde mujjukiza nti nedda ensonga ezo tezinnaggwa twagala okutegeera baani abaalumba paalamenti wano ne bagoba bannamawulire ne bajjako amataala ne batandika okutulugunya okuwamba n'ababaka n'abakyala ne bayuza engoye zaabwe nga bwe mulabye twagala okunnyonnyolebwa kubanga yagamba mu kiseera ekyo nti ebigambo byonna bye nayogera bijjibweko ku Hansard nkumiwulira era okubizza ku Hansard era nga njagala tunnyonnyole kale bw'oba ogamba nti kye nayogera nti ba security tekyali kituufu tubuulire gwe sipiika baali baani abo era nga saagala yeebuzaabuzi kuba bayinza okugamba nti mu kaseera ako kamera za paalamenti oba zaali zifuddemu oba nga tezikola nenkwata obutambi nabuteeka ku CD ne flash disk oba kozesa kompyuta oba kompyuta tekozesa flash ejja kukozesa CD oba ki nembitebulinga obujulizi weebuli twagala batuwulire baani abalumba paalamenti wano era n'ebirala byagamba nti kuba namulumiriza neŋŋamba ebigambo byewakozesa tetwagala abaganda abo bafune ennamba buba busosoze mu mawanga naga nti ebyo byonna nabyo babisiimuleko ku Hansard tebyali bituufu era naga nti mba nina obujulizi mbumuleetedde butadde ku flash disk ne ku CD nembutebulinga kuliko amaloboozi g'evidiyo nga ziraga sipiika ali mu paalamenti aga nti abaganda abo tumege sure tebafuna nnamba naki kubanga yagamba nti obujulizi obunajja ajja kwetonda mbuleese kuba saagala babeerewo kwebuzaabuza ekya motion kuba kwebuzaabuza kubanga mu nsala ye ku lunaku luli yagamba nti bwe nnaaleeta obujulizi ensonga ezo ajja kuzirambulula obulungi era yeetonde teyayogera ku motion era tekiitagisa kuyita motion kubanga tugoberera biki byayogera ebirine ku Hansard naki so nze ngambye luli wansoomooza ndeeta obujulizi mbukuleetedde lwaki oba oyagala tuyite mu motion ye sigamye nti tuyinza kuyita mu motion tusobola naye yansomooza ndeeta obujulizi. Teyagamba nti leeta obujulizi ng'oyise mu motion, yagamba bugambi leeta obujulizi. Ndowooza sijja buleeta, kati mbumuleetedde leero mbutabulinze. Of course ali mu kwebuzaabuza kuba agambye nti munnange nange simanyi abalumba wano Parliament sibategeera. Kaakati kyagezaako tugamba nti takyali in charge wano kubanga n'okuyingira gate olwo olunaku era ng'ennaku endala abantu babacekinga nnyo olagawa naki. Oli bwayingira gate okuyingira wano mu kizimbe olwo nalwo lutalo. Ate okuyingira mu chambers, abayingira mu chambers babaka ba Parliament bokka ne ba staff abali ku duty abali ku Hansard naki bokka be bayingira eyo. Kakati bano abayingira mu chambers agamba atya nti tabamanyi. Pozinga naye agamba nti owaayi nange siri in charge wano kati ekyo nakyakyogere nti obuyinza bwange wano mu Parliament buyinawo bukoma. Waliwo abalala abatwala Parliament naye batamanyi. Ekyo nakyakyogere tukitegere.
Madam Speaker, this statement...
Give us the statement.
This statement, Madam Speaker, on abduction of Dr. Besigye from Nairobi, Kenya on November 16, 2024. Right Honorable Speaker, honorable members, I am presenting this statement in line with Rule 25 L and M 59 and 64. Right Honorable Speaker, Colonel Dr. Besigye, former Forum for Democratic Change President, four-time presidential candidate, and now one of the promoters of the People's Front for Freedom, was abducted from Nairobi, Kenya on November 16, 2024. He had traveled to Nairobi on the invitation of NARC Kenya political party leader and former Kenyan Justice Minister Martha Karua. Dr. Besigye was scheduled to speak at Martha Karua's book Against the Tide launch. He, together with Ajobe Dutare Kamuregeya, a senior PFF leader, was abducted from a riverside apartment in Eastland, where he was attending a brief meeting before proceeding for dinner for Karua's book launch guests. He was then driven across borders by his captors. His passports, national ID, wallet, and other belongings remained at Warid Hotel where he had been booked in. Dr. Besigye did not or was not made to undergo immigration protocols on the Kenyan or Ugandan immigration sites. News of his missing started circulating 3 days after his abduction on Tuesday, November 19th. Right Honorable Speaker and members, Dr. Besigye was then miraculously arraigned before a military disciplinary committee, commonly known as court martial, on Wednesday, November 20th. Charges of possession of 2 pistols, which were learned that day that is a monopoly of UPDF, were read to him and his co-accused. They are also charged with holding meetings in Switzerland, Greece, and Nairobi for purposes of undermining the security of Uganda. Right Honorable Speaker and honorable members, the abduction of Dr. Besigye has been condemned widely by the UN, lawyers, human rights defenders, democracy-seeking organizations, and individuals. Even the Uganda Human Rights Commission has condemned this abduction and demanded for Besigye's immediate release. I call upon you, Madam Speaker, and the House to join the world in condemning this heinous crime of abduction. Condemned because there are laws, international and domestic, that govern extradition and deportation. The Ugandan, Kenyan, and international laws were all in this case not followed. Only criminals can do this. You may not be concerned with the Besigye, but be concerned with the state continuing to act criminally. I want to emphasize that point. You may not be concerned with the Besigye, but you should be concerned with the state continuing to act criminally. Madam Speaker, I raised the issue of the 36 PFF members that were abducted from Kisumu in this House. They were handcuffed and driven across borders in similar manner. The 3 women who were part of this group were not allowed to ease themselves for 14 hours. When they were finally allowed, it is male soldiers that were pulling their knickers and ordered them to urinate as they remained handcuffed. They were later charged with terrorism. Madam Speaker and members, we are concerned with the continuing human rights violations by the NRM government, including ministers working in jails and making people to confess to crimes they have not committed, and then getting the NRM chairman to pardon them. All these things concern us, and they should concern every MP. This parliament should also demand for an explanation from Kenya. Even Chris was abducted. I went to see him at Ginger Road. They had denied him simple things, including the slippers, that giant you see there. This parliament, Madam Speaker, should also demand for an explanation from Kenya. You know, he was representing us in finding out how the Honorable Nganda died. They charged him with stealing body parts.
Is that a part of your statement?
No, I was reminding him to sit down and listen to the statement. It is not part of the statement.
Maybe you wanted to compliment
I am
on
sorry,
what?
Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker and members, we are concerned with the continuing human rights violations by the NRM government. This must stop. We demand for an explanation from government, Madam Speaker. This parliament should also demand for an explanation from Kenya, whether it still subscribed to the East African Community Brotherhood. The ministers of internal affairs, who heads immigration, foreign affairs, and defense, Madam Speaker, must be made to explain to this parliament this incident and to the country. Madam Speaker, I thank you very much.
Thank you.
Abalungi abatuuliriza era abatulaba olunaku olwaleero tuchaddeko ewa Sheikh Asiraf Dembe.
Sebo nsanyusa okubalaba. Amannya agange Seeka Asiraf Dembe akola ku bizibu by'enjawulo. Omuntu singa aba alina ebirwadde tumusomereddwa, tumuwa amazzi ga lukuya nga bw'obadde ogalaba, tugenda abantu ku kyoto ne twokya emizimu emibi egibabaamu n'okulomba edduwa. Abantu singa abeera ng'ali wano atuuse sobola okumulombera edduwa, ne waba atatuuse nga mpadde amannya ge naye ng'ali wala. Neetaase enamba yange yeeno eri 0707763711. Nammwe bannyinaffe abali ebweru oyagala okuba nti oyagala okulombera ku dduwa ng'olina ebizibu, viza zibuze, amaka gakolongotana, sente zikola zimpita mu ngalo, ojja kumpeereza ekifaananyi kyo n'amannya go, ebyo byokka bijja kummala. Nja kukulombera edduwa, ojja kutereera. Olunaku olusembayo mu mwezi mba n'edduwa ey'awamu ffenna n'abalwadde bange abakadde n'abapya. Salaamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Right Honorable Speaker,
You come. Let him first respond.
I am alive to the fact that the issue substantially raised by Honorables Ssemujju Nganda is a matter before a court established through an act of parliament, the UPDF Act. What I can confirm on behalf of government is what is already in the public domain. That Colonel retired Dr. Besigye was arrested, produced in court, charged, and remanded to Luzira prison, and he will be availed back to court on the 2nd of December 2024. On the call for condemnation, I wish to persuade my honorable colleague that that may be too early, because the matter before court will be a subject of evidence, a subject of prosecution, and the outcome definitely will be known. It may be too early for us to condemn. But what I can also advise is that, honorable colleagues, let us accept to always play within the rules. Honorable Ssemujju and myself, we are sportsmen. We always play within the rules. At times, you invite the referee to warn you verbally. At times, you are given a yellow card. But if you are an habitual offender, you are red carded. So let us advise fellow countrymen and women to always play within the rules. Because the question is, just like Balotelli scored against Manchester United and he pulled a t-shirt written on, why always me scoring against Manchester United? Why always you and not me and not her? Why always you? That must be a fundamental question. I beg to submit.
Which is really a very good thing. I hope it's not rendering lip service to it. But Honourable Speaker, in the House plenary, during the third session of the second meeting, particularly on Tuesday, 5th December 2023, the House debated and considered matters relating to a response by the leader of the opposition on the subject matter of alleged enforced disappearance of persons. And from that debate, the House took 4 resolutions, Right Honourable Speaker, to wit, that the House Committee on Human Rights and Defense, with the Art of Defense and Internal Affairs, investigates the violation of human rights in the various fishing communities across the country and report to the House. 2, that the Land Attorney General reports to the House in 30 days then on the listed political prisoners and their continued detention without trial. 3, that the Minister of Internal Affairs reports to Parliament on the progress of reported fresh investigations on the missing 18 persons, Right Honourable Speaker. And 4, that the Human Rights Commission will reinvestigate the matter of missing persons. Right Honourable Speaker, 2 issues from my procedural matter. 1, that on issue 2, government, by prerogative of the President, released some political prisoners. I will not go into the nature of condition thereof, because as a lawyer, that is a new precedent in our jurisprudence. But 3, the Minister of Internal Affairs was supposed to make a report because they committed that they are investigating the 18 missing persons. It is 26th December 2024, Right Honourable Speaker. There is no report on the missing persons. So November, Right Honourable Speaker, I beg your pardon. There is no report. But the persons are still missing, Right Honourable Speaker. The denial was debunked because I provided evidence of the existence and the abduction, Right Honourable Speaker. May we get your guidance where the government forgetted their former position and they are no longer the government, so that we can seek answers from another entity, Right Honourable Speaker.
Government.
Right Honourable Speaker, we need to cross-check the record, first of all, to affirm the decision of the House, and if we come to the conclusion that there are those areas where we have not responded, we will call upon the respective sector ministers to respond. But I remember vividly this subject matter being debated time and again, and to the best of my knowledge, we almost came to a conclusive end of this subject matter. But we shall look at the record. If the 4 decisions were the decisions of the House. I am happy that under 2 and 3, you are saying some action has been taken. We must also applaud His Excellency the President, because upon conviction, he exercised the prerogative of mercy and granted the mercy to the convicts. So that is also something that we need to applaud him for that, because it is constitutional and he has exercised that right. So, Right Honourable Speaker, we will look through the record, but we deliberated on this subject matter, in my humble opinion, to its logical conclusion. Maybe if it is the House committees to report, then let them report on their findings.
Therefore, my honourable brother lost his record, and I'm surprised that he did not have a record of what happened. And I listed from debating the manner of release of the former prisoners, because I don't want him to saunter into matters of law and how they were convicted. But particularly on the missing 18th, right, Honourable Speaker, you don't have to have a bigger memory to remember that actually they are still missing, and that there was commitment to report on their missing. Probably the minister will have to recap, and there should be a timeline in the immediacy for him to respond. It was the Minister of Internal Affairs who was supposed to report. Now that he's coming on Tuesday with a statement, right, Honourable Speaker, now that he's coming on Tuesday, may it please you that you order the Minister of Internal Affairs to come with both statements. Right, Honourable Speaker. This was a debate on the 5th of December, 2023. Thank you, Honourable Speaker.
Weesiimye mattu oli wa mukisa okukira abalala. Omugugu gw'ebizibu by'ettaka gukutikuddwa Brand Property Services Limited ku lw'ettaka eritaliiko nkaayana. Ennyumba eziwedde okuzimbibwa wamu n'ez'okupangisa, apartments ez'okupangisa wamu n'okugula mu mawanga ag'enjawulo okuli Uganda, Kenya, Bungereza, Dubai, America wamu ne Canada. Okuddaabiriza ennyumba oba ebizimbe byo, property management n'abasaveya abakugu abatakufere. Twekwate ku nsonga zonna ezeekuusa ku by'ettaka nga kw'otadde n'okugobera ku kyapa kyo. Kati pazo y'eby'ettaka ebadde kukaluubiriza egonjoddwa bw'okwataganye naffe. Tukubire ku noti 703 824 noti 79 oba noti 773 206 58 noti, oba otusange ku MT House omwaliiro ogusooka room 5 ewazana ku Entebbe Road okuliraana ekizimbe kya Muguluma Empire. Tukyalireko ne ku website yaffe www.brandpro.co.ug. Brand Pro Property Services Limited, tutuukiriza birooto.
Madam Speaker, from Tororo, Honorable Otara, to the north, to Bunyoro, everybody is crying. Those who are crying loudest so far are from the NRM side. I am raising a procedure if you can only wait. I was born in Masaka. I usually go home. That bridge in Katonga, which was swept away now more than 3 years ago, hasn't been fixed. So are many others before you raise the new one. So the procedure issue I am raising, Madam Speaker, you listed also disasters in your communication and forgot one disaster that befell this country. The disaster of NRM, 38 years in power. So the procedure issue I am raising, Madam Speaker,
which disaster was that?
The disaster of NRM that befell this country 38 years ago.
Which disaster was that?
The NRM coming into power was a disaster.
No.
So I am...
That was not a disaster.
I thought you will allow me and the rule after.
You first
so can I raise?
Because I don't know the disaster you are talking about. There is no disaster called the NRM.
No, I thought you will allow me to raise the issue and then you rule, Madam Speaker.
Let me tell you, Honorable Ssemujju, Honorable Ssemujju Ibrahimu, let's have respect for each other, for each other's party. if we are talking about serious matters, where floods are taking people, floods are killing people, nobody in your constituency will take you serious because you've talked about a disaster of NRM that has stabilized this country for the 38 years.
Madam Speaker, I name your role. If what you are saying, and I don't want to engage with you, Madam Speaker, then we wouldn't have MPs here from the ruling party, correct? They should be coming here to celebrate. But each one of them, they are taking our time. We should be the one complaining. Each one of them, if you allow them, they will stand here and complain. Then they will go and say NRM oil. So I am only saying, Madam Speaker, that until, because the chair, you pardon me if she is not, has also been complaining. So everybody is complaining. So what motivates you to support a government that makes you complain? What motivates you? And then you come here and begin complaining. So the procedure issue I am raising, allow me, Madam Speaker, is whether this parliament should not deal with NRM disaster that does not prioritize all roads, that is making you cry. You have heard my brother from Bunyori saying they shouldn't bring a supplementary. Whether that's not the substantive issue we should be dealing with. And then, because your president is now touring bridges that have collapsed and you are here. He's in your area touring.
Honorable Ssemujju, we do not have an NRM disaster. We don't have an NRM disaster. The disasters we are talking about is of natural disasters. The NRM you're talking about is a party in power. It has been here and it is still going to be there. Can I hear from the Minister of Disaster?
Thank you very much, Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, I want to first of all take note of all the issues raised.
Why don't you be happy that I've initiated her? I have initiated her.
Right Honorable Speaker, 2 months ago I was here.
Hajat wants to say something.
Speaker, for giving me the opportunity to welcome Honorable Lillian Abel to the fraternity of Hajats. Before you name her Hajat, may she profess what the Hajats profess before they are called Hajats, so that I officially welcome her.
Hajat, for your information, I did all the induction. I did everything.
She's most welcome to the world of, and may you please wear like that all the time. Thank you.
Amen.
Right Honorable Speaker, I do take note and confirm that you did a good job.
Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Right Honorable Speaker, this period, the weather forecast indicates that we'll have heavy rains. And I did mention this when I came to present a paper on the disaster situations in the country. Right Honorable Speaker, the nature of our disaster response is a multi-sectoral approach. When a disaster occurs, for example, flooding, which has swept off bridges, we coordinate with the Ministry of Works to support the intervention. And we have been doing this. This morning, the Prime Minister chaired a meeting tackling all the disasters in the country and coordinating with the team on response. Right Honorable Speaker, where I need support from this House is a deliberate funding on some key areas that facilitates disaster response. Number one, Right Honourable Speaker, the Ministry of Works, the Ministry of Health
and Order.
Madam, I sit on the Budget Committee. This Parliament moved money from items that Parliament did not consider essential. You went in the Cabinet and castigated Parliament. The Minister now is saying, I need support from Parliament, which was made almost at gunpoint to restore what the Chief Executive called the priorities. Is she in order to come here and begin mocking Parliament that it can give her money when what was given was taken away?
Honourable members, Honourable Abe is just telling you her plight, her request. She's telling you her request.
So, Right Honourable Speaker.
Minister. Madam Speaker, some time back, I think 10 years ago, we passed a disaster policy in this Parliament. And the Minister is right to say the way we handle our disasters is multi-sectoral. Within the policy framework, the government is supposed to come up with programs to address some disaster issues that reoccurs and avoid it reoccurring. Madam Speaker, like the issues of bridges flooding, within the policy, we have engineers studies that have been conducted and to come up with a mechanism to ensure that in the next 2-3 years, we do not have more bridges re-flooding and roads closed. It is within the policy. So that the issues of roads flooding, it is being closed because of rain, stops. Madam Speaker, that is within the policy. The Minister has not talked about it. It is going to be year in, year out. Secondly, the issue of homesteads being washed is within the policy. It's the global climate issues. It is within the policy that within a radius everywhere there should be trees and mechanism established. It is within the policy. Madam Speaker, I'm not hearing the Minister talking about it. The Minister now talking, meeting international NGOs to bridge areas. Madam Speaker, the population of Uganda is increasing. It is within the policy. And as poverty is not being addressed, population will continue to affect the swamps and the sources of the rivers. And the mechanism is within the policy to ensure that the community within the rivers, riverbanks, and so forth are moved away and money is provided. The Minister is not talking about that.
Just risk policy, management policy. The policy is exactly what the honourable member talked about. But we have to fund the policy. The policy looks at decentralization of the approach on response. We need to procure equipment. If we know Bududa, Elgon's region is prone to issues of landslide, then the equipment meant for response for landslide must be assembled within that area. But we cannot implement the policy the way it is if we don't fund the policy.
Parliament interviewed a team of judges appointed by the President into an acting capacity. 6 months later, the same names appeared for appointment into substantive capacity. And one of the many names...
Not 6 months. It was 2 years after.
Thank you, thank you.
Can I request something? That you bring up that issue when the Prime Minister is in.
Right, Honourable Speaker, I would put the issue so that you give a directive.
No, I have a reason why I want you to bring when the Prime Minister is in.
Thank you. Most obliged.
Proceed, Madam Speaker.
Yes.
But this man was conned by State House operatives to get access to the President, and he paid them 20 million to see the President. And my interest, Minister for Presidency, through the Speaker, is to know how can somebody who wants to meet a president of the country have to pay money? What criteria do they use? This is an old man who's going to die. spend, what's the price or the right price of meeting General Museveni in the State House by his own combatants?
Honorable members.
And who are those people conning? People from Karungu. Karungu, where I come from.
Honorable
20
members.
million, Mr. Vincent Ssemujju.
Honorable members, listen to the member.
And
you're finished.
Madam Speaker, this story is not a joke. It comes from the government paper, New Vision. This is New Vision writing a full page of somebody conning.
Honorable members,
thank you,
the
Madam
President has always said, no, he does not, nobody should be charged money for seeing him. If that perpetrator is doing that, then he should be brought to book. He is not an agent of the President. Honorable Mayanja, Chofa. Issue of conning money to see the President. Can I ask you to take up that issue and have that person brought to book?
Most obliged, right,
the money should be refunded back to the person they conned the money from. They do not pay money to see the President.
I will seek assistance from Honorable Sewungu to host me with the details of the gentleman, and then we carry on.
Thank you.
Lay on table the telephone number of this gentleman is attached, and kindly do the needful as you look for where you put your rosary today.
Uganda Eyenkya.